Our next step here is going to be adding in maybe some furniture, something that's going to give a little bit of life to this room, and adding a person. People are very important in this type of rendering because it's really going to help us understand scale. So why don't we go for the person first? So up in the resource manager, and if you don't have that up here, and I have it pinned so that when I'm not hovering over it, it kind of drops away. And when it's there, when I hover over it or that bar, it pops back up. If you want to turn that on or off, one of this little plus minus thing. So if I roll off of it, it stays there. And you can actually do that with just about any of your windows that you want to. But in here, again, very similar to all those textures that we have all different sorts of resources here for just different elements, different furniture pieces. There's human figures in here we're going to find, lots of different building resources. This program is used a lot by architects as well, so there's a lot of stuff in there that as theater designers we're probably not going to be messing with a whole lot, but it's there. And so the really great thing, I guess it's pretty great, is that we can use this search bar, and let's type in human and let it search. And it's going to try to find anything that might have the name human on there. So sometimes you have to get really creative with what word choice you have, because you never quite know what's going to pop up. But I picked up human, and if I scroll down, we can see all of those resources. So it's a quick way of finding things without having to go searching for them over here in the browser. I believe, if I remember correctly, the human figures are found in this miscellaneous entourage, and then entourage people, and we have 3D symbols. So notice they're very similar to what we were just looking at. So if you're just not sure, try typing in something that might be suitable for that. Sometimes that doesn't work. You can't find exactly what it is you're looking for by the search bar, so sometimes you do have to just kind of go through these different folders and find what you need. But we're going to start with figures. So either go under the miscellaneous entourage, this legacy human figure, entourage people, legacy human figures. There's these abstract figures too, but these are all just two-dimensional and abstract. A little bit strange for what we need. For the most part, we want these 3D symbols. So you can kind of pick. Now, Vectorworks people are a little bit weird. You can, they're good for, again, helping with scale and whatnot. They're not the most pleasant to look at figures, I suppose you could say. So, if you really just don't like these figures, you can always insert a figure as an image prop. The same way we did the wall hangings in the background. Find a picture of a person that you can take the background out of and insert them as an image prop. If you are working in a production team, you might take the costume designer's renderings, use those as your figures in here. That's actually a really great way to do that, because then you actually have the people as they're going to be dressed. Now, they're sketched, but this whole thing is sketched, so that's no problem. So once you find, if you're using the Vectorworks figures, click on that, double click on that, excuse me, and that is going to automatically select this symbol insertion tool. And we're just going to find a place to put her. Sometimes this is easier to insert in a front or in a top view, or in an orthographic view, but the person's always going to be put in there standing up, no matter which view you put them in. So the first click kind of sets them in space, and the second click, and unfortunately we can't see which direction that figure is pointed. So I'm just going to guess, stick it in there. So the second click sets the angle. So she's walking away from us, but you know, that's okay. If I wanted to switch that, I could go to a top view and use my rotate tool, which there it is, under modify, rotate, and we can rotate left. And I think she is probably now facing the center of the stage. So let's go back to the front view and see if that actually worked. Yeah, that's pretty good. So I can set her, can maybe find another figure. Notice there is also a few that are like sitting down, somewhat useful. There's a group, two figures together. So double click on them. Move our page, maybe they're over here. Yeah. So we have a couple figures, and they just really help to ground that. Now, the more accurate you can be as far as the rendering goes, you know, the better. But for our purposes, just find 2 to 3 people that you can set up in your scene. Next, we're going to use the resource browser. Let me go back to a top view so I can set these in place a little easier. And we're going to find some furniture pieces. So you can explore through here, find whatever you might like. This architect sampler is sometimes a good one to choose from. And if we scroll down, those are mostly sinks and things, so that's not going to work. If you want to be able to see more of what things are, you can expand your menus pretty easily. Just got to find the right files. Let's try typing in sofa, see what pops up. Okay, so that brought up quite a few different options for sofas. Notice they are all fairly modern, so if you're ever doing something that is a period piece, you may end up having to make your own sofa, or again, image props are great for this sort of thing too. It will look fairly three-dimensional but give you a more definite look that you want. So for this one, let's, there's an antique sofa. Let's use this one. I like that. And we'll just put that kind of in the middle right there. And again, the first click kind of sets it into place. Second click allows you to rotate it if you want. If you don't want to rotate it, just hold that shift key down and let's go and look at it. It's always going to put it on the 0 level, which is the floor level. And if you had a platform or something that you wanted it to be on a different level, you just need to go in and change the Z height of that. That's a pretty easy fix to make. But since we don't have any platforms, we are good to go. And again, render it. I always like to kind of go to the OpenGL just to see what things might look like. Now, there is some ability to edit these shapes. If we double click on it and choose the 3D components and pull that up, and it's set in a group, so if you double click on the group, generally speaking, when you double click on something that has more than one object on it, it will take you a level deeper into the object. So now we have, looks like we've selected that mesh that might be that fabric. This one is another mesh. So if I wanted to change the texture on this couch's mesh, this fabric, you can do similar methods and changing things that way. So that my wall object turned into a texture. That's interesting. So again, you can, there are some that have editability, others that are less so, that make it a little bit harder, and you just sometimes have to be lucky or unlucky, I guess, to be able to alter that finish. So just for kicks and giggles, we'll change our texture to this. How about this red nylon? And so hopefully this works. If I exit that group, exit the symbol, now it has changed to be red. So you do have some flexibility sometimes. I always put the caveat sometimes. They're not all objects are created equal, so you can't always change it. But if you want to try that, you can. So that means basically that you're not always stuck with exactly what you see here. Sometimes they do have differences. You just have to go deeper into the level and find the different parts that you want to change, select those, and then apply it. Do note that if it says it's a group, you can't apply a texture to a group. You have to be inside the group for the individual objects and apply those individually. Okay, so we've added a couch. Let's maybe find a bookcase. Yeah, some objects, some options here. That one's interesting. So again, double click on it, always double click. And I'm going to put this against this wall, but in order to be able to put it at the right angle, I need to be in a top view. So let's go back to my top plan view. And it looks like my insertion point is at the center of that. So I'm going to, in order to get that angle right, I'm going to insert it along that line and rotate it so that it matches that line. And then just use my Move by Points tool to pull it away from the wall. And we'll go to the front view, OpenGL, perspective, and that is a funky looking bookshelf, but that's okay. So now I think that this wall hanging piece is too low. So I'm going to go ahead, select both of them so that they're the same. And let's move that up to, let's try 6 foot. That's good. All right, so very eclectic house here, as you can see. But just know that there's many different things within here that you can use. Explore it, see if you can find something interesting that you like, and create a room. Okay? All right, so maybe add a few more pieces than that. Maybe a little seating area with a coffee table. I don't know. You pick, and just create an interesting layout for your room.